Good afternoon, everyone. Kalla here. Welcome to my live stream. Glad you could make it today. So today we should be finishing up the final case of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. We're pretty damn certain we know who did the murdering. We've just got to make it stick. So, hello Drag, hello Nick. Hope you're both well. And let's get back into the action. On the final day of this trial, in which we got this guy on the ropes a little bit. Chief Gant! So you admit it? You're dealing with a cold? Yeah, there's definitely something going around at the moment. I was feeling a little bit off yesterday, but fingers crossed and knock on wood that I don't get ill. So I'm feeling better than I was yesterday, so that's good. You entered into the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm the chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the back room. What's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. It's pretty relevant on this day, Mr. Gant. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the back room alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? Because he needed to get into that evidence room, but he'd lost his keycard? I hadn't seen him in days! Well, that sounds like a lie. You hadn't seen him in days. Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. Yeah, we're gonna determine that she's not guilty by pointing out who actually is. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. That would be the lost item thing, right? I think. Wait, what was it? The parking lot floor plans. I think it's the lost item. It's gotta be, right? Goodman's lost item report can only be submitted to the Chief of Police. Yes. This. It's gotta be this. Oh yeah, we need to actually wait till... I don't wait. We don't have a present. We do have a present button, it's fine. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Exactly. So he had to come to you, the Chief of Police, to go, I lost my ID card, but I need to get to the evidence room. Can you escort me there, or whatever? No! Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him. There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Well, yeah. Exactly. But wait. The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. The Chief of Police lend a policeman his ID card? I don't think so. Yes! Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. Oh, yeah. Because in order for Goodman to have been killed in that evidence room, yeah. If he'd just been lent a card, then you wouldn't have that right now. Because it would have been with Goodman's body. Which means it would have been in evidence already. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Oh! Wow, he went very spiky then. Chief Gant, you didn't! The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime. No one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright. The victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? Well, he put it in the boot of your car and you moved it. I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the Chief of Police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. So you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you! Take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. All this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. Oh yeah, the screwdriver. the reason that the reason that Edgeworth even went back to the prosecutor's office that day. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Wait. Then again, actually... Is it actually the blue badger that I need to use? Well, because I mean... We have this. This is why Edgeworth went back. But do we need the information of how Gant got the body into Edgeworth's car in the first place? Surely it's got to be the screwdriver, because Phoenix just said I thought it was a useless clue taking up space. When there is never such a thing. So yeah, it's got to be this. Did he break into Edgeworth's car? Yeah, either that or Edgeworth doesn't lock his car, which, Edgeworth, really? So I assume he must have broken into Edgeworth's car. Well, yeah, because then Lana also needed to break into Edgeworth's car, right? So I assume the chief broke the lock on the boot of the car. Which I don't think would work these days, would it? Because usually you get... Your car gives you a notification that your boot isn't closed properly, right? I used to have a car that was a little bit dented in the back, and whenever it rained it used to tell me that my boot wasn't closed properly. Even though it was. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? What does that have to do with this case? I mean, he also could have used the screwdriver to break the lock, right? Do car boots even have a keyhole on them anymore? Good question. But also, this is set a lot earlier than we currently are, right? This is like early 2000s. Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go, by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. What else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. Transport the body to your accomplice. Miss Lana Sky. Order, order, order! What's going on here? Is there no room for a rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed into the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. I don't think you are. I think you're going to jail after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? The police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. Yeah, that's the sort of right that makes you look a lot more suspicious than you currently are. And you're currently looking very suspicious. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So, you're just going to run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman, that's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it, but... Well, Please let me luminol the Blue Badger. Although I suppose... luminoling the Blue Badger would only actually help if he'd left his fingerprints in blood, because if he'd left his fingerprints in literally anything else in the Blue Badger, that wouldn't give anything away, because it's his project. Well, Gumshoe made it, but still. You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current Chief of Police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor, do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Sky dispose of his body. Do I have any concrete proof? Do I have any concrete proof? Idris knife, no. The parking stub, no. The Blue Badger panel? Look! It looks like there's a bloody fingerprint right here. Please let me examine it. Goodman's autopsy report, Goodman's notes, Lana's cell phone, parking lot floor plans, crime photo of the victim's shoe, such blade knife, luminol, the ID card record, which we've established is not good enough. The fingerprinting set, the screwdriver, which we've established isn't good enough. The lost item report, which we've already tried to deal with. The evidence from floor plans are not going to help. The rubber glove is not going to help. Evidence lockers, unstable jars, Marshall's fingerprints. Security video isn't going to help us. The incident files. Neil's autopsy report, no. Team picture, no. Evidence list, piece of cloth, irrelevant. The rules of evidence law. I don't think we have anything. Just gonna quickly save. So I don't think I have any proof yet. Emphasis on yet. Please let me luminol or fingerprint the blue badger. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. CRG. In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? What was also my thing? Clearly that was the wrong choice. Here, tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, righto? It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, RJ, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. Lady Luck. Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness? No, it's Lana Skye herself, Phoenix. It's Lana Skye herself. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Ah, yes. So we are. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth. We can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth Lana Skye. Defendant, Miss Lana Skye? She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task? To dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in who's this going to be? Hold on, is it Lana? Hold on. Huh? No, Chief Gant. Hold on. Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Once again, not murder, Gant. You're a chief of police. You should know what manslaughter is. Yeah, also blackmailing in front of everyone, including the court reporter. Really? Really, Chief? This isn't good. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway. Right? Just something to think about. All right then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay. If there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. February 25th, 2:04 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. Edgeworth, are you allowed to be here? Alright, see you later, Nick. Is Edgeworth allowed to be here? Because they're suspecting him of preparing the witnesses. I'm pretty sure he's not allowed in the same room as the witness we're about to call, right? Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. Ah, that Chief. He's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Ah, don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office. Well, I guess we've got to take responsibility. We do need to take responsibility for getting Gumshoe fired. It is only fair. My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How does he always get the upper hand? Sorry, how is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair, he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said. Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. In that he's refusing to defend himself? This is probably Emma, right? You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? It is Emma! Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma? I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside. To force herself to do anything and everything the Chief told her to do. It must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Once again, not murder. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Yeah, Gumshoe's our friend, but that's because Edgeworth is also our friend. Trial Letter 2. February 25th, 2:21 PM. District Court, Courtroom Number 9. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I am sure you're aware of what is required of you. I don't think she needs to state her name and occupation when you've already done it for her, Edgeworth. But, Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone that's been in that witness stand has been lying in some way, right? My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It has had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offence. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then it means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. What if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. And you apparently also know how to read minds. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. I think this is a press everything sort of situation. Oh yeah, Emma didn't deliberately lie. Not everyone that's been on that witness stand has deliberately lied. But there has always been something. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective, that's why. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. Well, yeah, that's true. And did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Hannah! So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. But But that's not what killed him. That's not what killed him, Lana! What? The prosecutor marshal died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. It's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. Well, just to protect me. So, when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound, and then you moved the body? Why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why did you plant the knife in that case? Or why did you move the body? Ooh, both of them are good questions. Yeah, actually, why did you move the body? Because the only reason really to move the body is to move it further away from the armor. You know, the one we're pretty sure was where he died, right? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Did they now? Pieces of the jar? You mean... Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. Huh? That seems iffy. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered into pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Yeah, but... Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. But... How do you explain the jar getting broken if the struggle happened on the opposite side of the room, Lana? That's clearly not the reason. In other words, the jar must have broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. Oh. Wait a second. That can't be true. Because Emma's name is written on the jar. Not just on one sherd of it. But I have a feeling there's more to it than that. There'll be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. Pieces of the jar that shattered during the events, which they didn't. They can't have done. Because they can't have done. Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth was to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. Yeah, right? To get it so that it would look right when you put the jar back together again. That's a lot of work. Contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. You have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. Wait, maybe Emma didn't actually do it or not? Or not? Maybe Emma didn't actually do it. Because it kind of sounds like some things at that scene was staged before Lana got there. So did Chief Gant actually kill that detective? Cover it up to make it look like Emma did it by accident? And then, yeah, that could be it. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. Also, welcome to the stream, Patrick. We may have missed something critical here. Something critical. Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. jar and message in blood. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. Yeah, it could have been very important, but I guess. Yeah, she must have thought already that it was her sister who did it by accident, right? I'm not convinced she didn't read it. So the jar was already broken? It was a miracle that that thing hadn't broken earlier. Certainly it looks as feeble as the defense's case. But not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally, I would have. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you'd do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana! I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. I guess we present the jar against this, right? Because we found the last piece in Gant's safe with the blood not wiped off of it. Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of the jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. Something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. that Chief Gant concealed that piece before Lana got there. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Objection! Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying that person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Darktown stats. Besides, even if he was there, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question. What is this action called? Tampering with evidence? Concealing evidence? One of those. Fabrication of evidence. There we go. Fabrication. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterward? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. Ooh, 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 ooh. That was a really big bite of that thumb. She drew blood. No, I did it on my own. Please, Miss, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Well, yeah, that's the point here. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. I'm not saying she killed him. I'm saying she didn't. I'm saying the Chief made it look like she did. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem like the type who likes to twist the truth. Excuse me, Judge. I've exposed more truth in this courtroom than a lot of people, I'm sure. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana may be right after all. What do you mean, right? So, you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? No, not about that. Miss Sky, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. All right. The witness may testify once again. I missed that part. Accidentally pressed the button. The witness may testify once more. I still didn't see it. Never mind. Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armour's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. Had Chief Gant helped me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor's sword? You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. She hid something in the evidence law book. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. Look at the little chick. Oh. So we're gonna have to open it. Copyright Pio. Pio Pio. There it is. Hey, there's a picture here. Oh my! This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Lana's picture inserted into the court record. Mr. Wright! That thing got out from his vest, could that be? The handprint. The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whatever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. No, they're definitely not. Definitely not, Emma. Nope. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Actually, I'm going to take another look at that picture. Okay. Because the thing about that handprint is that that piece of cloth isn't covered in blood. And the fabric beneath the waistcoat is. Which implies to me that the handprint is not actually relevant to him getting stabbed. Because if the handprint was from whoever pushed him into the suit of armor, then it should be covered in blood. And it's not. But how do I get to that in-game terms, I wonder? When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body. Oh, he's back! Well, excuse me, mister, I refuse to give testimony. You're not actually allowed to be here. Yeah, it was cut out on purpose before Lana arrived, exactly, as well. Come now, Udgy! This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Aren't you supposed to be at lunch? Chief Gant! What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that, actually. You're not allowed to do that. Objection! I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Righto? You mean this fabricated evidence of yours, Gant? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. It doesn't leave no room. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, it's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I don't think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Except that it doesn't, though. Because it's not covered in blood. Although, why is the rest covered in blood then? Yeah, I think a save is a good idea. Well, in order to make my points about it, I'm gonna have to show it, so... Yes, Your Honor, I do have further evidence. Oh, right, the time's finally come to show it to them. Those prints have got to be the Chief's. Yeah, they're not. Now then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. I mean, it doesn't actually show that, but sure, why not? It's a piece of leather cloth. Yes, it most likely was cut from the victim's vest near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the sword. What? Whose fingerprints are on this? I'm sure Wright has checked, haven't you? Well, whose are they? They're Miss Sky's. Miss Emma Sky's. What? They're mine? So I really did do it. Nope. You were framed. Very framed. Extremely framed. See, I told you it was conclusive. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, he's gonna claim it wasn't from there, isn't he? I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that? But give it up, Mr. Wright, it's over. Yeah, we could call in Gumshoe. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Sky to Neil Marshall's death. No. It appears we have our killer. Right, okay. Load! Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie. Chief Gant? yeah, the only way you can prove we don't have it is to point out that it was in his safe, right? You opened my safe! I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest. Notice anything odd about the chest area? Looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? Yes, because if he points out that he had it, then it kind of proves that he messed with the scene, right? What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence? This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. You're not allowed to. Do you mean you're going to admit to it? I was the first to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister. That when she saw the scene, she would ask for my aid. So you assisted Miss Skye. I told her to arrange all of the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you weren't calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. Oh, I'm sure he's got something here. But if you've fabricated all of the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar, too? Exactly. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? Well, no, we don't. And that's why we're lawyers, Scout. That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Wright. Oh, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do all that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. You weren't chief at the time, were you, Chief? Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Writer. You should have shown it then, before it was too late. It's been a long battle, but the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. I mean, we can show evidence that isn't this evidence, right? We don't have to show that evidence. But we do need to kind of raise the question of why there's no blood on this, though. Wait a second. Just a second here. Right. A square pointy corner. And some rounded bits up to a smaller corner. Square pointy corner must be here. That piece of fabric isn't from that vest. It's not the same shape. I can't show this evidence because it's not relevant. It's not relevant to the case at hand because it's not the piece you say it is. No, it's too late to show the evidence now. Besides, even if I did, it'd just expose that poor girl's fingerprints. Right. Think hard over the circumstances. Circumstances? I'm talking about then and now. There's one major difference between the two. Weren't you waiting for that difference? Oh yeah, we were waiting for him to say he'd been concealing it. So, you should have figured out my plan. Mr. Wright, this is your only chance. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Well, I guess it does show who did it. Hello, Shema. I'm doing okay, I think. And hopefully not coming down with a cold. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes! At last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests this be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean... It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is Emma Skye. But that's not the point, because this isn't a piece of that jacket. Take that! Emma? Emma Skye? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, ho, ho, ho! You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. You monster! And Skye, you knew whose fingerprints these were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offence. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Well, you see, Gant. You see, Gant. Because even if it is that right piece of fabric, the big right angle on it makes her handprints upside down. So, before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. And that critical contradiction is either that it's the wrong shape, or that if you put it in the right place, the handprint is upside down. It would be very difficult to shove someone away with your hand turned the other way up. You don't really have much force there. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Yeah, because what I'm guessing is that Neil fell on the unconscious Emma? And that's how her prints got there, maybe? Because you would get a pretty big impact from an adult man falling to the floor after he got stabbed. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth. What could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth is the photo. It's got to be the photo. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? And yes, his shirt is showing underneath. Yeah, and the blood on it. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs were no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, a piece of cloth. Doesn't have any blood on it, which was one of my other things. Wait. There's no blood on it. Ah! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No! This is nonsense! Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. Oh, he was unconscious! He was unconscious? You killed an unconscious dude? He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on that armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's best. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over. That's close, Wright. Oh, you almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Actually, you approved of it, sir. You specifically wanted me to give this as evidence, and that means it was approved by the police. I'm sorry. Order! Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, G. Earlier, old Wright here concealed that piece of cloth. So, what's your excuse, Righto? Hello, Carl. Yep, we've got him on the ropes here. And we're going to hit him over the head with this book on evidence law, I'm pretty sure. I mean, not physically, but literally. I mean, physically would be fun too, but that probably classifies as assault, and that's probably a bad idea. You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. The moment that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. That's not fair. Did you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I mean, he also proved it was relevant. I mean, unapproved evidence has to be proved to be relevant to the case. And it wasn't relevant until he told us all about it. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems, at last, time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? No, I didn't. I admit I refused to present it at one point. Ha ha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Udgy, don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward, you can't really believe... There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, do so now. Look. Yeah, it's unregistered evidence. It wasn't on the sheet, so it has to be relevant. And he didn't make it relevant until then. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying that I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall? When was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No! He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes! No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you. Now that was a villainous laugh. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yes, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. Couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it nearly impossible to hide your crime. Two murders in 5 years, right? I thought... Was SL9 not 5 years ago? Maybe it was only 2 years ago. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? Yeah, it was DL6 that was longer ago, right? That was it. SL9 was 2 years ago, yes, you're right. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? Well, that would be breaking and entering, probably. Or willful destruction of property. Or something along those lines. That's an extra crime, Gant. That's crime number... I don't even know how many in this. You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside? How? How could you get Miss Skye involved in all of this? Yeah, blackmail? That is another one. We can probably give him multiple counts of blackmail, right? Because he must have been blackmailing for the last 2 years. Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. Man, you'd think all of that time solving crimes, you'd know how to do them without getting caught. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. I mean, Edgeworth hasn't committed 2 murders and covered them up, so I don't think you're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Yeah, but Edgeworth's not alone. He's got us. We can help him find out the truth about things and send the right people to jail. Takes 2 to tango. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here. And Worthy. With these 2 around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. There are 2 things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. Yeah, she's still an accomplice. Yeah, he did give his occupation as acting chief of police. That's true. Maybe we've just got to get the real chief of police to come back from wherever he's gone. I don't know. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Oh, she smiled. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. The trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. That's something amusing about all this. Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, not guilty. That is all. This court is adjourned. Before we get into this, I need to really quickly go get myself some water, because my throat is not happy with me right now. So give me a sec. Alright, I'm back. February 25th, 5:03 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook. But at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended? I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. Is it because you're the only one that she didn't bank? You know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me. Yeah, that was quite rude. I hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. 1, wasn't me. 2, you're not a detective. Actually, maybe you are now. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago. It was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But this, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis! I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. Aww. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt, watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth! Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals, I can feel it. You and me were the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth? Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Something that neither Edgeworth or I would have been able to find on our own. Yeah, the evidence list, we did each have half of it. That is the point. Where is it? Yeah, we both had half of this. That's the picture I drew! Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth! If you'll excuse me. There are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Well, she's probably not Chief Prosecutor anymore. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember. You can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, Wright? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? That's clearly from the same series as the evidence log, 'cause it's got the little check on it too. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis, I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Uh-oh, we were talking off out loud, huh? Huh? What is it, detective? It's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me. But folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Oh, Gumshoe wants paying back, huh? Huh? Way to go, Detective! I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one I'll be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright, you're the best. Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys, let's go. Objection! Objection! I don't want to go pay off Gumshoe's bill. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my day at the prosecutor's office. Still, I managed to find my way back to the field somehow. And then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Yikes! I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorised investigation of the Chief's office. If we penalise you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Oh good, he didn't get let go in the end anyway. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes sir, then I'm just gonna be just like that Dick Gumshoe. Aim high, Perkins. Yeah, Billy is the cactus. Which means that his partner must be Marshall. Or the blue badger, I don't know. Oh, hello! He fell over! Won't someone save the blue badger? Still wanted to fingerprint him. Oh no, Marshall's here. What is it? Can't you see I'm having a showdown with a steak lunch partner? This star managed to sneak this into me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? So the blue badger is Meekins' partner. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be... Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. How is he still the judge? How? Soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back till I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick. You forgot Maya calls us Nick. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen her, so. Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. Oh, what's going on? Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Did she leave her picture in there? I don't seem to be able to use my mouse for this. There we go. Yep. It's got a photo in the back. Cute. Ooh. And we're done. And that is the first game of this trilogy complete. So, that's going to be the end of today's stream. We'll pick up with the second game next week. Depending on how quickly we finished it today, I was considering just starting the next one as a separate stream, but given that my throat is not happy with me and I probably am in fact coming down with a cold, it's probably a bad idea and I need to go rest up. Have I gotten all of them, or is there multiple games in the same game? There is multiple games in the same game, because this is this game is the trilogy, so it's the first 3 games. So we're a third of the way through. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you're new here and you've enjoyed your time, please feel free to subscribe and add to the channel, and you can come watch me play the rest of this. You can also follow me on social media, which is linked in the description box. The streaming schedule for this channel goes up both over there on social media and over here on YouTube in the community tab. I'll put up a new schedule probably tonight, possibly tomorrow. The next scheduled stream should be, unless I get really sick, should be tomorrow. Monday, 7 PM, for some more My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, Pirates of the Disturbance. Um, so I hope to see you then, or another time. Once again, thank you very much for coming, and this is Kalla signing out. See ya, bye bye.